And the next one, guess where it's at? Guess where the next one's at? Lord have mercy. The next one is in Florida as well, too. Florida mom shot 15 times, run over by rage-filled boyfriend. Oh my gosh. Yo, what is up with this lineup today, man? Yo, oh my goodness. Yo, this is about to be outrageous. I can tell already just by the title. So let's go in and like in on this one. Y'all already see it's long crime. Long crime always come with that heat. So let's see how this case is. What's going on with this?
Her over multiple times with her car. Then he fled to Alabama. Now federal prosecutors are building a case against him. We're breaking down what allegedly led this man to shoot and kill his girlfriend, who he just began dating. Thanks for joining us on Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner. Deputies in Florida report this man fired at his girlfriend more than 15 times. Now, we got our hands on the federal court documents, which charges the 30-year-old with cyber stalking, interstate domestic violence, murder through the use of a firearm, plus more. The early stages of a relationship are supposed to be fun. You're getting to know someone new, spending time together, all of that. It's unclear how Star Michael Tucker and her boyfriend Charles Carson Dowdy met. Star Michael had previously graduated from Florida A&M University with a nursing degree. She served in the Air Force for a little bit. Then the California native was working in Pensacola while also caring for her young son. Star Michael's sister Rhea previously told WEAR News in Florida her sister was the light.
Yo, rest in peace, man. That's always the beautiful ones, man. That's horrible, man. That's horrible. She's beautiful, man. Rest in peace, man. Hope that your family get peace for this.
That shine through everyone's darkness. Rhea told the outlet that she didn't see any red flags in the few short months that her sister was dating Charles. She initially thought that he seemed sweet and innocent, and as a couple, they looked happy. But about 3 to 4 months into the relationship, something allegedly snapped in Charles. Back in early January, the Escambia County Sheriff's Office began investigating a homicide. A woman was found shot multiple times at a local apartment complex. The woman was ID'd as Star Michael. The sheriff saying at the time at least 15 shots were fired at her, with about 7 of those bullets hitting her. As if that wasn't horrific enough, deputies say her killer ran over her with her own Jeep, then backed up over her before eventually getting away. She was transported to a hospital, but she...
Yo, what did she do? What did she do? This man was either he is just demonic or she literally pissed him off. You know how pissed off you got to be to reverse and back up and run up on somebody again?
Died from her injuries. Sheriff Chip Simmons told local reporters at the time of the murder, whatever triggered this, obviously it's unwarranted, this use of violence. But to use this level of violence, this level of brutality, it's uncalled for. The Jeep Cherokee allegedly used to run over Star Michael was eventually found over in Alabama. And guess who was driving her Jeep? None other than Star Michael's boyfriend, Charles. It's been reported that when deputies were on scene at the apartment complex, they got word that Charles had contacted the father of Star Michael's child. Charles allegedly told him that Star Michael was dead and that he didn't want to talk about what happened. But it seemed that he might have called someone else too. According to WEAR, a man called 911 a short time after saying that he knew where Charles was located. The man told dispatchers he heard about the shooting and recognized the apartment complex because he previously worked with Charles and would often drop him off to that very same apartment complex. The coworker who called 911 reportedly texted Charles asking if he was okay, and he allegedly responded not at all. Charles allegedly told the man he shot Star Michael like 16 times. Charles allegedly claimed that when he was with Star Michael, everything was good. Then something sent him into a rage and he shot her multiple times. According to the report, Charles told the man that he was underneath the bridge heading to Mobile, Alabama. Deputies reportedly tried to get the coworker to call Charles back so they could listen in and get more information. Charles picked up telling the man that he was waiting for someone to come look at the car tire because he had a flat. The coworker said that he encouraged Charles to turn himself in, but Charles allegedly said he was scared. Deputies used that information to...
How you shoot somebody 16 times, run them over, reverse, run them over again to say that you're afraid and you're scared to turn yourself in. This generation is cooked.
Track him down. He was arrested by Spanish Fort Police a short while later. According to police, Charles allegedly had a gun in the center console of the Jeep, and he reportedly didn't say much either, except, "My life is over." When he was extradited back to Florida, he was charged with second-degree murder, and a judge denied him bond. That was earlier this year. Just this week, federal prosecutors announced Charles has been indicted by a federal grand jury. According to the indictment, under count one, Charles Carson Dowdy, with the intent to kill, injure, harass, intimidate, and place under surveillance with the intent to kill, injure, harass, and intimidate another person, that is Star Michael L. Tucker, did use an electronic communication and electronic communication system of interstate commerce and a facility of interstate and foreign commerce, to wit, a cellular telephone, interstate wires, and the internet, to engage in a course of conduct that caused and attempted to cause and would be responsibly accepted to cause substantial emotional distress to that person, and in the course of engaging in such conduct cause the death of that person. Under count two, Charles is accused of traveling in interstate commerce with the intent to kill, injure, harass, and intimidate an intimate partner and dating partner, and in the course of and as a result of such travel and presence, committed a crime of violence against the intimate partner and dating partner, to wit, the murder of Star Michael L. Tucker. Under count three, Charles is accused of knowingly and carrying a handgun during and in relation to a crime of violence for which he may be prosecuted in a court of the United States, that is interstate domestic violence, as charged in count two of the indictment. Under count four, Charles allegedly did knowingly discharge, use, and carry a firearm, that is a handgun, during and in relation to a crime of violence. And finally, under count five, Charles is accused of knowing that he had previously been convicted of a crime punishable by imprisonment for a term exceeding 1 year, knowingly possessed a firearm and ammunition in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce. Now, that charge came about because, according to the indictment, in August of 2024, Charles was convicted in Texas of criminal mischief. And even after
Yo, Charles a gangster. Yo, Charles is a thug. Yeah, this guy is a gangster, man. Look at all these charges, man. God dang.
his conviction, allegedly possessed a pistol and 9mm ammunition. Now, if Charles is convicted on his federal charges, he's facing up to life in prison. Now, he hasn't entered a plea yet for his federal charges. He'll be arraigned later in the week. I'm joined now by criminal defense attorney Safa Robinson Ferrer to break this down even further. Safa, are you surprised that these federal charges came 7 months after Charles Carson Dowdy was arrested?
I am surprised to an extent that this took this long. However, I think the uniqueness of this case, and especially considering that the victim of this case was a member of the United States Armed Forces, I think that the federal government took a look at this case. And I know that there's an initiative that they're working on right now. It's Project Take Back America, and they're seeking prosecutions under this particular initiative. And so I think that it took them some time to really take a look and dive into this case. But I think that because of the nature of the case, because of the interstate component, and because the victim in this case, Ms. Tucker, was a member of the United States Armed Forces, that the federal government saw fit to take jurisdiction and prosecute Mr. Dowdy.
And it's interesting your breakdown of that, because initially I had thought maybe it was just because he had crossed state lines over with her car, and that was the simple explanation as to why he was looking at federal charges now. But your breakdown makes a lot more sense than what I was initially thinking. And when we look at this overall offense, it's just horrific. These two were dating only for a few months, according to reports, and we don't know the full details of what led up to the shooting. But obviously it doesn't matter, because Star Michael was shot more than a dozen, or shot at more than a dozen times, with about 7 of those bullets hitting her. And it feels like it just goes past rage, even with Charles allegedly running her over multiple times too. And it just feels so sinister and disturbing. But what's your reaction to the overall offense that happened?
It's absolutely sinister, and I hate to use this term, but it's completely overkill. This isn't just a case where, there's a domestic incident or there's an argument between two people. One of them is shot and killed. This is an individual who shot this woman, or allegedly shot this woman, like to your point, over a dozen times. And not only that, but ran her over with a vehicle. At what point is enough enough? At what point does the rage stop in a case and situation like this? So this case is completely gruesome, completely sinister. I do see that it is fit, to prosecute on both ends, federally and stateside, on this case. And Mr. Dowdy's looking at spending the rest of his life in prison, and if convicted, rightfully so.
I think even when he was arrested, I think he had uttered something allegedly along the lines of, my life is over. And that might be the case. And normally, when we see these types of cases, it's between a couple that have been dating for a while. Not that that negates anything at all, but longer than Star Michael and Charles were together. But why do you think he allegedly flew off the handle so quickly and so aggressively with her like that? It feels like there was more leading up to this moment. He wouldn't just allegedly bring out a gun, just start shooting at her 15, 16 times and then just run her over. It just seems like more might have been going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And my guess, and again, I'm speculating at this point, is that Miss Tucker probably rejected him in some sort of way. The rejection ultimately, and again, I'm speculating, and these are all allegations, is that it caused him to fly off the handle, to be so upset and so angry that he decided that he was going to stalk her, that he was ultimately going to hunt her down, kill her, and run her over with a vehicle.
I mean, that's a good speculation, I guess, man. But for somebody to be that malicious, man, it had to be something that really upset this young man. Let me see. We can go ahead a little bit earlier here. I see him here inside the trial. See how this playing out here.
Prosecuted federally. He is facing life in prison for
Life.
certain. Whether or not the charges
How
that
did
he
I
faces
get
will be death penalty qualifying or whether
love?
the government will move for the death penalty is the question at this point. One of the things that could be an agreed upon disposition is plead guilty to the charges. You'll agree to spend the rest of your life in prison without the possibility of any parole or release, and we will take the death penalty off the table. Oftentimes, that is how these cases are resolved when we have prosecutions like this.
All right, Ripmo fan, we're gonna end that reaction right there, man. We're gonna end that one right there, man. Charles is facing life, as she stated. They're gonna use that as leverage to get as much information to take the death penalty off the table and give this man life. That's horrible, man. And rest in peace and condolences to the family of Star Tucker, man. That's brutal. That's a brutal way to go. Just like a birdie, I just wanna fly free.